Oh my God. Hey guys. Um, I probably picked the most weirdest time probably to go live. You probably can hear them cutting the grass or doing whatever they're doing in the background. So if the noise is too much, you guys let me know and I will just stop this live. I will delete it and we'll do another one. They should almost be finishing up, I think. But either way, so I'm going to give people a little bit more time to get in here like last time, and then we'll get started. Again, if the noise is too much, guys, let me know. 'Cause like I said, they are cutting the grass and we'll just have to stop and then we'll just have to give it like 15 minutes and then we'll come back. But on this one, I'll be looking at Chris Brown's charts. Like I said, I'll give you guys some time to get in here. I'm going to play my intro. I might also play the countdown as well. But yeah, see you guys in just a second. Okay, so we are here, or shoot, I'm here at least trying to be here. It seems like, I mean, I don't know if this is just Mars retrograde taking effect as well as Jupiter retrograde. But technology today specifically has just been not that great. Maybe like the last 2 days. Okay, trying to log into Instagram, it just like it keeps force closing or kicking you out. And then like I think on one of my pages, my follower count probably dropped by like maybe 100 or 200. And it was like, wow, that was so unexpected. And so then I look on Twitter this morning and I think Instagram posted an update and they were just like, we're aware of an issue, et cetera, and we'll try to fix it as soon as we can. So technology period these last couple of days has just been crazy. Pretty much as soon as Mars hit retrograde in Gemini, which makes sense because Gemini or Mercury technology maybe could be wrong about that, but whatever. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. But remember, you guys, I talked about on the Elon's Astro thing I did between him and Twitter. I said that like hacking. I mean, I said particularly when it pertained to that platform, but hacking in general may definitely go up. We'll just have to see how this is going to go. I do plan on doing a reading. I got to figure out how I'm going to do this when it pertains to financially speaking for next year when it comes to the United States. Okay, the United States natal chart is very easy to pull up. We all know what that is, and I might do another country if I have like a lot of requests for it. But I know I will do the United States to kind of like see financially speaking what's it going to look like for next year. I think I said in somebody's reading probably yesterday or day before, I said the upcoming year may not necessarily be the greatest when it pertains to financially speaking. I could be wrong about that though, because we are heading into a 7-year in terms of numerology. 7 isn't really one tied to material wealth, not really. I mean, it's connected to the moon, so there's not really, the big focus isn't really on material wealth. It's more so like, relationships, emotions, connections. Okay, so we'll just have to see how that goes. Some people's financial year may be good. Others, I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to take a look at that later. Again, if you are a Sagittarius or a Libra and you're kind of curious about the first part of next year, I did upload the brief overview for that in my vault and on my Patreon yesterday. So you can go look at that. And I do talk about it a little bit. Okay. It's like 20 minutes, so it's not going to be that long. All right. Good morning, my normal ones that are in here, and everybody else that's watching. You're not able to type. Somebody informed me yesterday that I guess you have to have like a certain account or something like that. Since I'm on StreamYard, I don't know how true that is, guys. I don't know. Maybe I have to do something else so that everybody else can comment. Okay, I'm still working out the kinks with this. I really am. So if you can't comment and you can just listen, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to figure it out, but I have to be able to give you guys a visual so that you can see what I'm saying. So I'm not just talking and you're kind of just like, what are you talking about? Okay. But yes. So hello, Dawn. Hello, Ari, Yolanda, High Priestess Tarot. Good morning to everybody. So like I said, we're going to take a quick look at Chris Brown's chart. Okay. I haven't, to be honest, of course, you guys know I'm going to be honest. I haven't really looked at his chart at all. I don't know what the hell is in it besides the fact I know that he is a Taurus. But outside of that, I don't know what is in his chart. And honestly, I don't know if I want to backtrack and bring up old news when it pertains to he and Rihanna's relationship. I don't know if I want to backtrack into that because, you know, it ended very badly. And I don't know if his relationship with the other girl, is it Karush or something like that? I don't know if it ended just as bad. I remember her being on Iyanla Fix My Life. She had her little segment. This was like years ago, but I don't know how bad it got when it pertains to like their ending. So I don't want to like, you know, talk about it. And it's like, I don't know, super triggering. I don't know, but we might have to just glance and look away. Glance and look away. Okay. But let me load his chart here and see. Again, it may not have his birth time, but that's okay. We've kind of like been making it work without the birth times. Supposedly, now I don't know how true this is, but supposedly somebody, they said his birth time is 12:30, and apparently it's been verified. And they gave it an A+ rating. So apparently, which is weird, he was born at 12:30 p.m. I mean, that's kind of like a weird birth time to be born at because that's normally the birth time you will use just generically speaking if you don't have one. But we'll go with this since they said it's accurate. Okay, this will be the first one that we've gotten where it's accurate. Okay, so let me show you guys what we're looking at. Yeah, so let me make it just a little bit smaller here. Okay, move this up. I wonder, can I? Okay, I don't need that. Take that away. Okay, present. Share my screen. Window. All right. So I'm pretty sure you guys can, there it is. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that you guys can see this. No, I don't want that big. Need to be able to see it bigger. There we go. Okay, so here we go. We have Chris Brown's chart. That's what they're saying. Okay, good morning to people popping in here. Again, guys, I am no expert on this matter. I'm just going based off of what I see, what I feel, things that I've learned from other people over these last couple of years, and my best guess. Because I feel like in a manner, astrology is best guess, just like we would say probably math, or I gave the example the other day, if you're like a mechanic, it's best guess. You see what works, and if it works, you're like, okay, we're going to keep that. Okay, so yes, Chris Brown's charts. I'm pretty sure you guys can see it, but my screen's kind of cutting off. So like I said before, he is a Taurus. With the, again, you guys see it right here. You see this right here? It clearly says his birth time is excellent. I'm still a little bit skeptical, but okay. Honestly, with the way things go for him, I would have expected some planets right in here. But he doesn't have any planets in Aries, which is shocking to me because I would have expected something here. Okay. But then again, his Mars is in Cancer. So we might be able to, we might still kind of like can ignore the Aries part because Mars in Cancer, maybe it is debilitated or at fall in Cancer. Let's go to the cheat sheets because I feel like Yes, I was right. Mars is at fall in Cancer and it is exalted in Capricorn. Okay. So when it pertains to, I mean, this is already again just a opinion. Maybe he deals with mommy issues because Cancer deals with the home. It also is tied to the womb. It's also tied to the mother. And we might be right, people. And I didn't even notice this other aspect. Moon Pluto people can have a possible tumultuous relationship with their mom, a strained relationship with their mom. It can be because of maybe she deals with emotional highs and lows. There's an emotional imbalance there when it pertains to a relationship with their mother. If Moon Pluto is an aspect, and as we see now, the thing is, his moon is exalted in Taurus, but it still sits opposite his Pluto in Scorpio. So this may even possibly, maybe he holds his mother in high esteem, even though there possibly is some questionable things that she may have done or did when it pertains to him growing up, or however you want to say that. Okay. So it's good. Like I said, that his moon's in Taurus. We're good there. Moon is exalted there. Hey, we're good there. But like I said, this Pluto in Scorpio, I don't want to say like his mom could be an enemy. I don't want to say that, but could we possibly put that on the table in some type of manner? Yes. Okay. Maybe the enemy type of energy, or maybe that type of dynamic becomes a problem. Maybe when he gets into relationships. Okay. I mean, maybe this is just, again, my opinion, Moon Pluto, if maybe I wanted to attach that to a tarot card, we could say Page of Cups. Page of Cups, even though they're very vibrant, they're very creative people, probably the most creative page out of all the pages, if we're going to be honest, because they have a knack when it comes to dance, artistry, music, anything that they can put their hands on, creatively speaking. The Page of Cups is made for that. Okay. But the issue with the Page of Cups is that they get met with some sort of difficult emotional experience, maybe by parents, whoever it is, and they kind of like get stuck at that age. So their response, even if they're 50, their response still reminds you of an out of control teenager or out of control child. Sometimes I stomp my feet and you are so frightened by how loud I'm stomping my feet that you cave in and give me what I want. Okay, not necessarily saying that this is how he is, but maybe in some type of a manner. It could be in a way we don't see, because his Pluto is in the fourth house. Even though the fourth house is on an angle, in a way it's kind of hidden, because think about it. The fourth house is your home. You don't really let everybody into your home. Probably very few people can come into your home. You know, it's almost just like damn near like, you have to go through an FBI background check before you come in my home type of thing. It's very private house to me, just like the 12th house is very private, I feel. And the 8th house to me is, or the 8th house should be private. Honestly, people talk about their money and I kind of feel like that maybe maybe that diminishes the strength of your 8th house. Even if your 8th house isn't necessarily like in a strong sign, or there's not strong planets there. What if you diminish, that strength of that house even more by yapping about your wealth, yapping about what people gave you, or yapping about what you donated to people? Shut up. Keep it to yourself. Okay. You guys know I talked about that probably a long time ago on one of my lives. I think I did say that the 8th house needs to be one of privacy. And that's my opinion. The 8th house is also a spiritual house. Why the hell should everybody have a shoe in to your spirituality? You know what I'm saying? In terms of, you guys get what I'm saying there. Not saying that people shouldn't know, but I think some people just go way, 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 way too in depth. And it's like, Some stuff needs to just be reserved for you. And that's it. That's my opinion. Okay. But to go back to the placement, the aspect, this moon Pluto. So I said a tarot card we could possibly tie it to. Could be, like I said, Page of Cups. And I was going to find the Page of Cups in my set of cards. But then I started rambling, you know. But the other tarot card that I would possibly tie this particular aspect to, I honestly would say the King of Cups in reverse. And here's why I say that. Because the King of Cups, whenever the King of Cups is upright, he's very balanced. He's the mediator. I feel like out of all the kings, he is the mediator. He is the one I feel like that has that empathetic bone in his body where he can understand both sides. I mean, maybe he could, here he is. Maybe he can make a really good lawyer. Maybe not criminal, maybe a divorce attorney or something, in my opinion. Whereas the King of Swords would make a very good criminal attorney because he really doesn't give a damn about you crying in his face. I mean, I really don't care. And he may be somebody who maybe he would sacrifice his morals, you know, for money. I'm not saying that's true. Depends on the cards, but I'm just spitballing. Okay, here he is, Page of Cups. Okay, I mean, Page of Cups in reverse is even worse. Bratty. Okay, bratty. Okay, but the King of Cups in reverse, he wants people to mommy him. He wants people to be, it's like he wants people to fill in for that parent that didn't make them feel emotionally safe, comfortable, etc., which I get it, but it can be damaging. It can turn toxic really fast because you expect me to treat you like your mother. You expect me to fill in a way that your mom or your dad failed you, and I can't do that. Okay? Look, I've seen this a lot of times with some of you guys' relationships, okay? But it doesn't mean that it can't get turned around. Okay. Anyway, so issues possibly with a mother. Okay. I'm not saying this is a definite, but there is something there. The dynamic is not like it's not 100%, or we could possibly say maybe in a way, Chris Brown and his mom, maybe for both of them, they really don't know where they stand with one another in terms of like emotions, because maybe it's kind of just like up and down. Like one day, okay, I think we're okay. And the next day it's just like, I really don't know like how you feel about me. Like, I mean, I know you love me, but it's almost just like, do you kind of like care what I'm doing, etc. Okay. I don't know if it's one of those particular dynamics. It could be. Okay. So he has ascendant in Leo, which is, I guess it's not really shocking because he is in the field of entertainment, and Leo gives us that dynamic because it naturally is the fifth house, even though his fifth house in this instance is Sagittarius. But either way, okay, it's still fine for him because, again, entertainment, the public, fame, okay. You know, this whole time, I don't know why I thought he had Saturn in Aquarius. I don't know why, but he has Saturn in Capricorn, okay. 19, how old is he these days? 89. So is he getting close to 35? He's like 33, maybe 33, going on 34. Okay. My math is not that great right now, but I think he's 33. But anyway, so let's get a little bit more into this chart. Okay. We'll come back to his sun in a second, but you guys know how I feel about my theory. I'm going to stick with my theory because I feel like it's working. Okay. It may not necessarily work for 100% of the people, but it's working for me in my examples. Okay. So Chris, it's so weird. This morning I was driving and I was just like, I was like, okay, Mr. Christopher Maurice Brown. And I didn't even realize that was his middle name, but for some reason it just, maybe I heard it and I don't know, for some reason it just fits. I don't know. But anyway, so first letter of the name is C. Okay, so we're going to go back in a manner like we did previously. C, okay, if we look at our chart, it is connected to the planet Mercury, specifically Gemini. Okay, so not shocked about the lyricist type of energy. Okay, he has Mercury. Is it retrograde? Let me scroll down and see if his Mercury is retrograde. Okay, no, His Mercury is at home in Gemini, okay? A wordsmith, smooth operator, okay? Maybe even smooth criminal Michael Jackson vibes. I'm willing to bet, okay? But yes, okay, so his Mercury is at home in Gemini, smooth criminal, okay? Um, I mean, I can see Geminis being rather chatty, especially if it's on a subject that they really like, okay? But his Mercury looks like it's only making an aspect to his North Node in the seventh house. I would say, my opinion, his words are probably very spellbound E type when it comes to relationships. He has North Node in the seventh house. And honestly, I think I mentioned this before where I said there was an article that I saw, I think was Vedic astrology or sidereal astrology, where they were saying that North Node or Rahu in the seventh house isn't necessarily the best placement for relationships for relationships when it possibly pertains to the individual. Okay. And look at here. We have North Node for him in Pisces in the seventh house. I'm going to try to see if I have that article saved on my phone. I think I do, about the particular planets in the houses and what they mean in terms of relationship. Okay. This is probably the only one I'm going to use in terms of a reference when it comes to sidereal. The other stuff, like I said, is difficult. I think I found it. Oh yeah. Man, I wish I could share this, but it's on my phone. I had it saved to my phone. But anyway, the article is How Will Your Spouse Be? Okay. Um, but yes, it says the North Node in the seventh is normally not the greatest for women, but it doesn't really say if it is for men. I don't know about that. But either way, so North Node in the seventh or Rahu, it says this is not the best position, especially in a female chart. Now, I don't know if this possibly is the same thing for a male. I don't know. But this placement causes defamation to the family of the woman. So I don't know if we could possibly say that this is the case when it pertains to the people that he has dated. Let me know here, people. You guys are probably more up to date on Chris Brown stuff than I am. If you are texting my phone while I'm doing this live, I don't have my other phone, my business phone, next to me. It's on the charger. Okay. So I'll have to answer your text messages after I get done. But let's continue. Rahu in the seventh. The native will not follow trends and will not be a believer in God. Honestly, I was going to say he has this North Node in Pisces. So Chris Brown may possibly be more spiritual than maybe you or I know, but he may hide it. Okay. Maybe his Mercury in Gemini, even though his Mercury in Gemini is at home, maybe his Mercury in a way kind of restricts him from talking about that because his North Node is in a public house. So, that is the house of open enemies. Be careful with this guy, because I would probably say, it's just possibly a guess, what if, when it pertains to relationships, he gets to going and he uses his Mercury, his Gemini Mercury tied to his North Node in Pisces, and he starts speaking negatively over you in a spiritual way whenever things don't possibly go right in you guys' relationship together. What if we can assume here that that's a possibility? Okay, again, like I said, in this instance, I'm learning, we're all learning, so we're just going with the flow here. Possibilities, okay? Astrology, best guess. And maybe our guest here is this, okay? Maybe maybe he can get nasty, and it's nasty in a different way in terms of maybe spiritually speaking. That again, remember the article says the North Node position here in the seventh house can like almost bring shame to, the woman's family. I don't know if that's happened, but what if it has, in a manner where it's hard for them to rise up from up under his wing. Kind of like after you date him, it just goes downhill from there. Kind of like how a lot of people say that when it pertains to like the Kardashian family dating you. Like after you're done dating them, you just go down from there. I don't know if we are on to something. Okay. I don't know I don't know if we're on to something. Either way, okay. But yes. But again, Pisces is tied to that creativity, is tied to music, of course, spirituality. So we can maybe go, I don't want to say summon, but maybe in a manner, what if he summons like spirits or ancestors or something like that when it pertains to his music? What if his music is very spellbound when it pertains to the public, or possibly when it pertains to women? Because again, his North Node here, this aspect, it seems like it's more so to deal with a woman. Okay. So what if that is something in his music that maybe we don't know, but maybe you possibly only notice that or feel that, see that if you are spiritual yourself? Again, people, we're just going with it. Okay. But there's some spellbound energy, I would possibly say, here with him. Okay. I mean, maybe he got, I mean, I don't know what house Rahu or North Node belongs to. I don't know. I don't even know, because it's the moon's node. So I really don't know. Is it fourth house that it's at home in? I don't know. People are gonna have to look this up later. Unless somebody here knows that off the top of your head. But either way, yeah. So his purpose, he has some sort of spiritual purpose. You know, what if these talents, or what if this music ability, or this his musical talent, whatever, very ancestral vibes. Okay, so what if this is just a continuation from what it was in his past life? Maybe. Could we assume that? Yes, I mean, we could. Okay. But either way, let's look and see at his Mercury. His Mercury is at 2 degrees in Gemini. Okay. Another, guys, again, I apologize about the internet. I'm telling you, I don't know how long they're like, we can't really do anything about the internet until they get finished with doing whatever they're going to do. So you're just going to have to bear with us. Okay. Or bear with me. But anyway, to finish it off with the North Node in the seventh, it also says your wife may have diseases of the womb. So some issues when it pertains to pregnancy. Now, again, I don't know the story behind the mother of his children. I don't know if they possibly had issues when it came to getting pregnant, having a baby. But if we just go based off of this article here and what it says, what if possibly the mothers of his children had to have some assistance when it pertained to getting pregnant or carrying their child full term? Hey, there are many women that have to, okay? It's not their fault, but I'm just saying, what if that's the case? Okay. I would say, in my opinion, when it pertains to probably a woman dealing with him, if you have a lot to lose, it probably would not be a good idea to date this young man. Even though he is older than me, I feel it's like I'm talking like I'm in his elder or something. But I would say, if you have a lot to lose, again, if you are a woman and you're possibly interested in Mr. Maurice, we're going to call him Maurice today. If you're possibly interested in him, I don't think it would be safe for you to have like an empire, because it just feels like it may crumble just based off of this aspect, this placement right here. Okay. But again, like I said, there may be some difficulties for him when it pertains to getting a woman pregnant. Okay. So there may be assistance that's needed from doctors or etc. Okay. But to finish this off, it says for North Node in the 7th, you may suffer from diabetes, black magic. Isn't that weird? I was just talking about that. Unnatural incidents and ghosts. We were just talking about that, and it's very interesting how that's in the article. Okay, if I remember, I might just have to go back and leave a comment on the video for this particular article, and you guys can go through and look at your own chart, okay, and kind of dissect it in a way. I have to keep remembering to post these references, guys. It's like I get busy and I start recording for tarot videos and then it just draws a blank. I need like a personal reminder from somebody. Hey, be like, hey, Faith, you got to post that. And then I'll probably like, okay, yeah, you're right. Anyway, so now let's see. Now his sign on the 7th. So he has Aquarius on the 7th. Okay, so Aquarius on the 7th, it could, maybe it's a little bit difficult of a sign to be on the 7th house when it pertains to longevity. Maybe there's like this unnatural feeling in a manner when it pertains to maybe love for him. Not saying that, he doesn't feel it, but maybe in a sense he doesn't really know what true love is, because something's blocking him probably from maybe feeling that. Maybe it started here. Remember we talked about Moon Pluto. Maybe it started here when it pertained to his mom. So maybe we could assume, okay, that maybe if he didn't necessarily feel proper love from his mom, maybe that could possibly be affecting him when it pertains to relationships in a way. Okay, with his Leo being on the ascendant, he may possibly also try to dominate his partners. Hence why I said, if you have something to lose, if you're a dominant person, or not saying you have to be super masculine or something like that, but if you speak up for yourself, you won't make it with this guy, because I feel like you guys will just be going back and forth. Hopefully you won't be exchanging blows or anything like that, but you'll just be going back and forth. It's not going to work. You may tear each other to pieces in a manner, but Aquarius on the 7th, they will be introvert and very workaholic people. So maybe a detached type of energy here when it pertains to his relationships. Kind of just like, I hate for it to be this way, but it may be one of those things here where it's like, I can work a lot, but you can't. Hence why I said you don't need to have something, big. Okay, like if you're in real estate, have a real estate company, or you own some type of company, don't even bother. Don't even bother, because, he may be somebody where he wants someone super submissive, maybe not super, super submissive, but submissive, definitely. Kind of like I said, if I'm working a lot, you damn sure don't need to be working a lot, because I don't like that. Okay. A part of me maybe in a way feels like that he will definitely ruin your image. And it's not going to take much, because again, he has that Mercury to North Node aspect, North Node in Pisces. It's not going to take much. He may start summoning ghosts, man. He may start summoning spirits to be like, what if Chris Brown is kind of like high priestess energy? Is that too far-fetched? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Maybe not. Let's see if maybe the cards are going to clarify that. I could be wrong. Maybe not. Okay. I can, karmic life, I can honestly see why he posted his chart, because it's going to be pretty difficult to screw this man in terms of screw him over, because what I say, he's going to summon somebody after you, in my opinion. Okay. Maybe he doesn't realize he does it, or maybe he absolutely is aware that he does it. Okay. But he may start summoning somebody after you. Look at that. The Temperance card is a very spiritual energy. This is angels. Okay. So, okay. I was maybe kind of close. Okay. I was like high priestess, but the Temperance card is kind of there as well. Okay. You're very in tune with your spiritual side. And I'm just going to say that when it pertains to him, he's very in tune to his spiritual side, but in terms of him talking about it in depth, I just don't think he's probably going to do that, because he probably already knows what that's going to be like. It's just probably not going to go well. Okay. But yes. So what else can we go off of? Okay. Again, so we're going to look. So I think we already looked at that. 7th Lord. Oh, okay. So his 7th Lord, which would be Aquarius. Right now we're talking about relationships. I only said that because the first aspect I looked at was Moon Pluto. That's the only reason why I said that. And then it just immediately directed me to the 7th house when it pertained to his relationships, because I feel like this is where it starts here. This is where it starts. I don't know if his mom had a difficult pregnancy. Maybe his parents were not together. Maybe I don't know if there was like some issues when it pertains to father being in the life, maybe father questioning if I am the father type of thing. Okay, I don't know the history there, but his seventh house lord. So every house has a lord. Okay, the lord of the sun, pretty much the ruling planet of that sign. Leo is sun, Virgo's Mercury, Libra is Venus, Scorpio is Mars first, traditionally. Then we can do Pluto, I guess. Sagittarius is Jupiter around. Okay. So Aquarius's lord is what? Saturn first, because Saturn is traditionally tied to Aquarius. Okay. Uranus comes later. Okay. So we're going to look at Saturn. So his Saturn is in, I can't tell if that's the fifth or the sixth. It looks like the fifth house. So his Saturn is in the fifth house. Maybe it seems like friends of benefits type of energy, how this possibly starts over. Capricorn, Saturn is there. Capricorn, of course, is time, your elders, of course. Normally, people that are older, Saturn rules old age. Okay. So maybe he is into older women. So you young thunder, so you young guns, maybe you don't really have a chance, to be honest, in terms of that truly serious relationship. Okay, maybe you don't really have a chance in that manner. Okay, it could be a smash and pass, and it's just a smash and pass. Okay, but I'm thinking older here. It could be an older woman already. I don't know if she's already there or not, or she could be coming later. Okay. But so yes, his seventh house lord, which is Saturn, because it's tied to Aquarius, is in the fifth, the house of fun, the house of romance, the house of pleasure, the house of children. I'm telling you, this is just my assumption. I feel it probably would be someone older. Kids are probably already older. Okay. Yeah. Or this could just maybe be whenever he gets older. I just feel like he's probably going to go. I just feel like it's an older woman to me. Okay. To me. So with his seventh house lord in the fifth house, he could have gotten, or he's still young. He can get married at a early age, but personally, because he's a workaholic, I just don't think so. Saturn gets better over time. So I kind of feel like it's one of those things here where, it could probably be late. Because think about it, whenever you're younger, you're not experienced, you're not mature. No matter how much you may think you are, you still got a lot of life to go. So again, probably older. There will be goodness in your marriage. I don't know how true that is. I'm going to have to look and see what type of a husband he's going to be. You may go for a love marriage. There can be some issues in getting a child. Remember, I talked about it with the North Node in the seventh, and the seventh Lord in the fifth house also says the same thing. You may have issues in terms of getting pregnant, having a child. So that's why I said maybe the kids that he have, maybe they had some help. Fertility doctor, fertility something. Okay. Your spouse will be from a well-respected family, and you will have a good married life. Okay. So you have to be higher than him. Okay. But I still stand by my original point when I'm saying, and maybe that's just a right now thing. Maybe he still has to develop more spiritually speaking with this North Node in the seventh. Maybe he needs to still go through some sort of spiritual lessons before he gets here, and he expands his way of thinking when it pertains to how he sees relationships, how he may see love, how he may see marriage. Okay. It's possible, guys, that he probably does have more spiritual lessons that he needs to go through to what? Grow up. Because like I said, he may be very King of Cups in reverse type of energy, Page of Cups in reverse type of energy. So he needs time to grow the hell up. Okay. He needs time. So he's probably not ready. And that's why I said an older woman probably would be up his alley. I think he prefers older women. Wasn't Rihanna older than him? And if that's the case, that was the relationship that seemed like it really just stuck him in the heart. If that's the case, I can see that. And I would, and we could possibly assume that whenever he and she were dating, he probably did think about getting married to her. Maybe. Okay. Maybe. But this Mercury in North Node aspect just seems like it works against him, because it's just like, once you get under his skin or piss him off, he is summoning something after your ass. But we don't know what Rihanna's chart looks like, because she probably can play with the best of them, if we're going to be honest. Okay. But in terms of like, okay, you want to attack me spiritually? Bring it on. I got a bat. Okay. So, hey, like I said, we'll just have to look at that maybe in a second, and we'll just have to peek. All right. So back to my original. We're going all the way back. Okay. So again, since Chris Brown, his first letter of his first name, real name is C, Mercury, 4 degrees, right? Gemini, his Mercury is on a Cancer degree. Okay. So he's an emotional talker. Okay. He probably is quite emotional whenever he is writing things. I wonder if he has good handwriting. This is just speculation. I've never seen his handwriting. But I wonder if he has good handwriting. Maybe. Maybe there's I don't know. Maybe there's something like particular that he does with like the way he writes the B in his name. Okay. Never seen it, but again, best guess. Okay. So Gemini, Mercury, 4 degrees. Gemini at 4 degrees says aviation. So flying, mental stability, head injuries, beautiful, dark, but bright eyes. I can see that. Even though, he has bags. Come on, guys. Even for you, Chris Brown lovers, you and I both can agree. The man has bags. Okay. It's under there. Dark circles. Okay. Dark circles. However, the thing says it's still attractive, even though it's there, but okay. Okay. Hey, he's attractive. He's an attractive person. Okay. Even though I'm not really one for the light-skinned bandits, but I give credit where credit is due. So, like I said, I can see him being very emotional whenever it pertains to, his words, his writing. And remember, and that kind of makes sense what I said. He could probably summon something, if you get to him. All right. So now let's look at the day he was born. Oh, yeah. So he's definitely Mercury ruled. He's going to speak from a place of emotions. Now, that may change as he gets older, okay? Because is it Mercury is the mind and Moon is the intellect? I might have that backwards, okay? But either way, he's very Mercury ruled because he was born on May the 5th. The number 5 is tied to Mercury as well. So exalted. It's weird. How are you famous, Mr. Chris Brown? Sun is in Taurus. Okay, I'm going to have to scroll down. Moon. Well, never mind. Leo ascended. But let me just scroll. Let me look at something. Oh, okay. Or maybe. That moon is 17 degrees Taurus. Maybe. I don't know. But, Leo ascended. But still. I'm not saying he wasn't supposed to be famous, but I was just curious. His Saturn is in Capricorn 13 degrees. So that just goes along with my theory saying it probably is something that's going to take time. He's going to need to go through some things, especially because it looks like his Saturn is sitting opposite his Cancer Mars, and his Cancer Mars is at fall, but his Saturn in Capricorn is at home. Okay. So anger, really, unless it's sex, it could be. He has to be careful about my opinion. And this is just what I'm feeling intuitively. I would say he has to be careful about passing along diseases. Okay. But is this too far-fetched that he passes along women? Is that too far-fetched to say? I don't know if that's a rumor, but is that too left field to put that out there, that he passes along women? Remember I said that at the beginning, didn't I? When I was talking about here, smash and pass. Maybe it's a good theory. Maybe it's not. Anyway, I'm going to look at his Cancer Mars, and it is exact conjunct, looks like his wounded hero in Chiron. groups. See, this is the thing. He's probably going to have a love-hate relationship with women because, again, Cancer or the moon is tied to women. Even though his moon is exalted, okay, his ego can be disgusting, okay, which could probably be why he has a love-hate relationship in some type of a manner towards women. But the 10th house is public. We're going to have to see about his relationship with the public in just a second. But let me go back over to his Cancer Mars. His Cancer Mars is at 4 degrees. So it's at Cancer, in Cancer, on a Cancer degree. Cancer at 4 degrees is medical, medicine. As soon as I said that, as soon as I said medical and medicine, this feels like possibly needing some help when it pertains to staying awake. I don't know if he has experimented with hallucinogens, like could be shrooms or could be some sort of I would say medicine. What's the medicine? Come on, people, help me out. What's the medicine that they all talk about? I can't think of the name. It's not Robitussin. It's something else. What is it? The medicine that they all rap about, they all sing about when it pertains to music. What is it? And his Neptune hits his Mars. Okay. So yeah, here's the thing. Assumption. No, it could be, but no. It's a liquid. It's a liquid, people. The liquid. Okay. The liquid. The one that you would probably have to get from the doctor or the pharmacy, okay, I think they probably have to give you a prescription for the liquid. What is it called? I don't know. Somebody will pick it up. But I'm not going to say that would probably be incorrect. I wonder if he is friends with a drug dealer. Hopefully he's not involved in that because that would be really bad for him. But I'm wondering if he's a friend with a drug dealer. It feels like there's somebody really close to him that's got the bag. Oh yeah, that's it, Ilana. Thank you. It feels like there's a friend close to him that has the bag with the stuff in it, in my opinion. Because his Mars is sitting in the 11th house of friendships. Okay. Is he only child? If he's the only child, it makes even more sense. Or he may be the oldest. If his mom and his dad were not married, maybe he has siblings like on his dad's side or something like that. But maybe he's the oldest, maybe out of his mom and dad's relationship. Okay, that may possibly be a possibility as well. But anyway, okay, with this Mars, Chiron hitting this Neptune and Saturn, again, my opinion, I could be wrong. It kind of makes me feel like he needs something to help him stay awake. Like heavily medicated. And his Mars is on a 4-degree Cancer, which it literally says there, medical, medicine. But also it says friendly, sensual, betrayal, affectionate, incautious nature. So if there is anything possibly where if he gets busted, if he gets busted for things tied to like drugs, the hardcore stuff, not weed, anything, guess who is the culprit? Friends. Somehow, some way, it seems like that friends or somebody makes their way into his circle that ends up betraying him. But with his Mars hitting his North Node, his spiritual lesson, I'm telling you, I said shroom, so I don't know if that's something that he enjoys. But like I said, I feel like he has to take something to keep himself awake. Like it gives me zombie type of energy. And I don't know if I haven't looked at a picture of him recently, but I do remember way back. Remember when didn't he go to jail or something like that? If he did, or he went away for a while and he came back and he was kind of chunky. And then like a month later, he was skinny as a beanpole. Okay. He was skinny as a beanpole. It's like, how do you get so tiny that fast? And you had some weight on you. But anyway, but I still stand by my statement again. It can be disputed, but it does give me kind of like zombie energy, like he needs something to keep himself awake. And I just realized his North Node does hit his Uranus, okay? But that's just my opinion. But it's definitely, see, here's the thing. Even though it feels like that there's somebody around him that betrays him in a manner, it feels like also there possibly is a friend who takes the fall in a manner. Okay, even though it belongs to him, from my opinion again. But it does kind of give me zombie energy. And this is just the birth chart. Okay, kind of like that, not a blank stare, but a blank stare type of thing. Okay, it's like maybe even in a manner when you look at him, it's almost just like, like somebody's home, the lights are on, but it just kind of seems kind of dark. It's like, where is the life behind your eyes? And this would probably be something that we would see as he gets older, because his Mars also does hit his Saturn, looks like. It looks like it does. Unless that's his Chiron. But either way, it just seems like it's darkness. Where's the light behind your eyes? But maybe it was there whenever, again, my opinion. And this may possibly seem crazy, okay? Again, like I said, the zombie energy, and remember the aspect right here says you can summon ghosts with this North Node in the 7th house. What if he did that, people? What if he did that? What if he's not really himself, but he's himself? Like, what if energetically speaking, there's someone in that body with him? Am I crazy? Yeah. I don't know. It kind of feels like that because it's like The Walking Dead. Okay. And I don't know why that is. I hope that, that is not the case, but it just doesn't give me like lighthearted energy, and maybe because whenever he first came out, think about Chris Brown's first album when he first came out. Do you hear the upbeatness in that? Do you hear it? You hear it, right? You hear it. I don't necessarily feel like I hear that. I don't really feel like I hear that. But it kind of almost seems like, again, I may be this may be stupid to say or just maybe idiotic to say, but it almost feels like a spirit has taken over his body at some point, like during this time period from younger to 33-year-old Chris Brown. Okay. I'm trying to think of a good movie to use as an example. Oh, this is a good one. Is it no, it's not The Last House on the Left. The movie that Ryan Reynolds did, is it Amityville Horror? Or the new series on Netflix, The Watcher, may possibly be a good example if you've seen it. That like that energy where it just seems like something is in them, spiritually speaking, like a demon or something like that. You get what I'm saying? I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Don't make me think I'm crazy here. But anyway, so is his Jupiter in Gemini? What's the opposite of Gemini? Sagittarius. So I think his Jupiter is in detriment, or is it fall? It might be in detriment. Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini. Okay. So we could maybe he doesn't necessarily feel like, maybe he doesn't feel like he could really be a good husband. But he could be. What if he really could be a good husband? But insecurities may possibly be taking over. And what if that's something that possibly is keeping him from being married or may keep him from being married? Insecurities. It looks like his Jupiter aspects his ascendant. Okay. So, well, he definitely wants his wife to make him look good with the Jupiter hitting his ascendant. But what is it called? You know how some people get into relationships and then the other person seems like they just soak up the identity of the other person, I could kind of almost seems like he may be one of those type of people, even though it may be weird. The assumption would be that we would do that as women. Like we would be the one that would, take on the characteristics of our partners, but he seems like he would be like that. My opinion. Okay. But he has insecurities, I would say, probably about being married. Who the hell doesn't? Okay. But it's like, it almost comes across like, I don't think I could do it, Oh, okay. So Jupiter and Mercury, Jupiter and Gemini at 10 degrees. Okay. Fortune, gifted, fond of own family, great amount of money, grasping nature. See, that's what I said. I said it's not the fact that you can't do it, but I think this is an eternal thing that's keeping him from being confident in that. Okay. But his Jupiter, even though it's at detriment in Gemini, is still good. Like he would probably bring money to his wife's family. He would maybe like the family, whatever. But it seems like it's good things. But I just think insecurity step in, and possibly ego. He does have that, Leo ascendant. Okay. Not saying that all Leos are, ego-ish, but Jupiter likes to expand. So I can see he maybe gets a little bit beside himself. Okay. His Leo ascendant is at 14 degrees. Okay. Superior. Yeah, I told you. I knew it. I didn't even look at the degree and I had an idea. Okay. I say he probably gets beside himself. Leo ascendant at 14 degrees. Superiority, ambitious. He's power hungry, recognition, imposing. I called it, guys. Didn't I call it? I said he probably tries to control when it pertains to probably those relationships. But let me continue to read the rest of it. Okay. Imposing figure, fame. So, okay. Remember what I said? How are you famous? His Leo on 14 degrees says it right there. And it looks like the Lord of his first house, which is the sun, is hitting his ascendant. I still think he's power hungry. Okay. Maybe a little bit forceful, imposing his way in the door. That's something that probably, like I said, maybe that's why he's kind of like in and out of popularity when it pertains to women or just the public period. Okay, that's something that he needs to work on. Okay. I guess we'll look at his sun. Sun sign, Taurus, 15 degrees. Let's look. 15 degrees at that. No, I don't know what 15 degrees is. I'm drawing a blank again. 15 degrees is that Gemini? 15 degrees is a Gemini degree. I actually was going to say that, but never mind. Taurus at 15 degrees. Okay. Music, we're not shocked, okay? Music, very stubborn, self-assurance, could bring a lucky marriage, relaxation. However, like I said, his sun is squaring his ascendant. He has to get off of that trying to impose. It kind of feels like, in a manner, like you have to make him your whole world in a way. And I already said that with the Aquarius 7th house. It feels like you have to make him your whole entire world in a way when it pertains to love. And with him being imposing, and then the moon squares his ascendant, maybe this is something that women who've been in a relationship with him before, they may say. Actual relationship, not smash or pass, because he's going to smash and pass your ass probably to his friends. Okay. And you're going to know out the gate who you are, what you are to him. Don't get it twisted. There is no blurred lines type of energy here where it's just like, oh, well, I thought we were going to be this. No, ma'am. You didn't thought nothing, because he already told you what it was. So if you continued because you chose to. Okay. He already told you what it was. And I'm not condoning his actions, but I'm just saying, I'm not really getting the energy here where he's going to give you fluff and be like pretending with you. No. Okay. But anyway, his moon, like I said, so possibly the women who've been in an actual relationship with him could possibly say that maybe he imposes his authority or his power onto them. Okay. Maybe he goes after weak women. I already called it over here with the Aquarius 7th house, where I said, if you have something to lose, if you are not necessarily super dominant, but if you speak up for yourself, if you're strong, he doesn't want you. His spiritual team doesn't want you. This ghost possibly with him don't want you. No. Okay. Maybe he smells weakness and he goes. Maybe. Okay. And maybe this came after the whole situation with Rihanna, because I can see Rihanna. I mean, I don't know. This is just speculation on the outside. She may not really be that way on the inside, but I can see Rihanna being like, strong, like, don't talk to me that way type of energy. And maybe after that whole situation went down, maybe he like switched gears and maybe went for maybe women that he can control. But these women that he goes for, they like hold him in high esteem. So that's why I said maybe they're like scared of him, intimidated, whatever it is. But he definitely he's going to impose his way in the door. But he only can impose his way into the door of a woman's life if is like, I smell blood, like a vampire. I smell blood. Where's that lovely smell coming from? Oh, you over there? I smell you. It kind of feels like, that's my opinion. Okay. But he smells blood and he goes. Okay. So, just based, I wouldn't really want to be bothered, to be honest, because like I said, if you got some kickback to you and you're not going to let somebody talk crazy to you or whatever it is, oh yeah, he don't like that. He doesn't like it. Okay. What else can we look at, people? Well, I guess we'll look at his moon in Taurus since it is exalted. While we're there, strife, war, like what I tell you. I smell blood. That's him. I feel like intuitively, maybe this me intuitively saying I smell blood, and he's sniffing it out, and especially when it comes to the ladies. Okay, but and maybe those are the women. Like I said, I don't know these individuals, but maybe the type of women I described, maybe those are the women that he possibly had a child with. He smelled blood, Anyway, Taurus, 17 degrees, strife, warlike nature, danger by own hands, many enemies. I'm telling you, the women are in and out with this guy. Okay. The women are in and out with this guy. And maybe the big amount of support that he possibly gets from women possibly are from the women that maybe think that they can control him, that maybe only see the exalted Taurus moon. But he definitely has a dark side. With the 17 saying danger by own hands, maybe he beats women. Maybe he beats women in the privacy of his own home, because he's not going to get caught out again doing that shit. I don't think so. Okay. I don't know the story with his mom and his father. I don't know if this is something that he possibly saw, but there was some sort of tumultuous something that he may have possibly saw with his mom, because look, his Pluto also hits his son. So power here, power dynamic and an imbalance of power, maybe whenever it pertains to parents, unless he had a stepdad. Okay. Possible. But yeah, danger by own hands, and it's on the ascendant. Well, we can see how that went with his moon hitting his ascendant, danger by own hands. We see what happened with that. He hit Rihanna, but I don't think he's going to do that again. Or if he does, there won't be a lot of people around him. Okay. So he may change it up. Okay. So that doesn't happen again. We're in the age of social media. It may be no phones, no pictures. Okay. So if somebody comes out and says something, it's your word against the media. And they'll be like, okay, show a photo, or it didn't happen, which is really crappy, but it could get to that point because he's not going to get caught in that dynamic again. So this time he's going to change it up. Okay. Outside the fact that he's handsy when it pertains to the women, I feel behind closed doors, we'll never see this, guys. Okay. Unless something breaks through the cracks and a woman possibly happens to have the evidence in picture form, we probably won't hear about this again, even though it's possible that this could happen again if it hasn't already. Okay. But like I said, and maybe this happens in that zombie type of state. I'm sorry, guys. He's giving me a zombie guy. He's giving me zombie vibes. My opinion. He's giving me zombie vibes. He needs to, people say cleanse. This guy needs to cleanse, but maybe he summoned them to him. So maybe he don't need to cleanse. Maybe this is something that he wanted. Okay. Mars. Oh, if I'm not mistaken, I think I wrote about this before. Mars and Saturn, if they make an aspect, I think it's opposite or square, sex game crazy. Oh, the women goes nuts. Literally. Oh, but anyway, the women go nuts for this guy. He's got it. Okay. He's got it. So I don't think there's any question there when it pertains to sex game or, the other things. There's no question there. Hence the women are going crazy over him. Okay. Because he's got it going on. But to be honest, I don't think I want that demon to enter inside my garage. Look, my garage is organized, is sanitized. Okay. My garage is together. Why the hell would I let you in my garage? And I know you're coming with some shit. No, thank you. No, thank you. So I don't really know why they would want to do that. Okay. Just don't do it unless unless their garage ain't clean. You know what I'm saying? But hey, okay. He's got it. Good for him. But it still doesn't change my mind about him. It doesn't. Midhaven in Taurus is pretty much the top of your chart. Okay. What is it normally like the 9th house or the 10th house? But that's normally, again, another energy that could be tied to like your career. Okay. So his midhaven is in Taurus, which is at 6 degrees. Let's look and see. 6 degrees Taurus, personal independence, strong will, leadership. You see how many placements we've read and it's been about enemies this, enemies that. Okay. So not shocked that this one has enemies, natural qualities. So there's those natural gifts are coming through. Okay. He is definitely naturally gifted when it pertains to things tied to Taurus. Okay. Making money, there's no question about that. Taurus is Venus. So naturally gifted whenever it pertains to the arts. Taurus rules the throat. So here we go. Not necessarily shocked about that. Okay. He also has Venus in Taurus as well. I didn't realize that until now. Venus in Taurus at 23 degrees, which I'm pretty sure Venus is like the wife. See, Venus 23 degrees Taurus, decline, depletion. I said it could definitely come later, okay? Even though he has the capability to be a chatty husband, honestly, a good husband, but his want for power and recognition and, fame, that gets in the way of who he can be, okay? And his Venus is, even though it's in Taurus, it pretty much saying it's debilitated in a manner because it's depleted. Okay. He depletes the energy of these women. Even if he was dating his wife, you're depleting her energy. Could be. Well, I don't really get deceptive with this guy because I really feel like he is upfront about what it is to me. So if you take it in another way, then I don't know what you were listening to. Okay. But yes. This is from what I'm seeing here, he probably, and it goes back along with my original thought, he probably doesn't need to get married or in a serious relationship until he can work out his own issues. Number one, he got to stop putting his hands on people because you want to power over them. You got to stop doing that, allegedly. Okay. And you can't, and it feels like you can't want to destroy what she has because you want her to be less than you. You can't do that. But this is, again, he needs to work through these emotional, whatever things he has going on. Very dark emotions this guy feels, especially towards women, to be honest. And I'm not saying it in a manner to say like he is like, in the closet. No, I don't think so. But he has some very dark emotions tied to women. And I'm not sure where they're started from, but he needs to fix it because women hold his career in a manner. Okay. Yeah, I would say so. But does dark emotion. I mean, a therapist, but he probably rejects therapy. His therapy probably is to, be in a zombie-like state. Not good. Not good. Not good. Okay. Okay, guys, before I take a quick look when it pertains to, I don't really know what was the last one that he was really, really enamored with? Karuch G. I don't know. Maybe we'll look at her chart with his instead of Rihanna's. Okay, maybe. But before we look into that, any questions, comments, concerns? If your concerns are just idiotic, we're just gonna ignore you. But questions, comments, concerns about what we kind of like talked about with his chart. Okay. He's millennial. I don't know that name. Yeah, questions. Okay, so no questions, no comments, no concerns. Okay, so I don't think she's gonna have a natal chart in the system, guys. I don't think so, but we'll take a look. Oh, forget it. Okay, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one because I don't want you guys to don't stab me. Her birth time is poor, but we'll take it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Lord, please forgive me. I have good intentions. I would never try to harm anybody with this. Okay, but let's see. Was he May the 5th? What was he born in? Okay. May, right? May the 5th, 1989. Oops. And they say he's 1230, but I don't know. Well, I'm still skeptical, but they said it's right. Okay. Oh, God. Please. Rihanna, she's Bridgetown. There it is. I know she's a Pisces. That Pisces toric dynamic. Yep. February 20th, 88. Oh, she's just a little bit older, not much. I think he should go much older, my opinion. But not till he's older. 8:50. Is that AM? Guys, I keep going back and forth. Sorry. Okay. Lord, give us strength. Holy shoot. There's so many squares. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not gonna go over too many aspects in this one. They have Moon in Aries, so that could probably go to their volatile connection. Okay. Not saying that Aries is bad, but whenever the moon, you don't really think it through. You just go. And it doesn't really hold up well for like longevity. Okay. It has Saturn. Yeah, Saturn in the 5th house when it comes to the composite, it can go really good or it can go really bad. Okay. But I'm trying to see. They have Jupiter in the 12th. Okay, so remember we talked about this previously in the previous reading with Blueface and Krishan. They also had Taurus. Isn't this weird? They also had Taurus in the 12th house. Okay, so of course this relationship was good for their pockets. I think he was probably just starting out. She probably was just starting out. So they made money. Okay. So in terms of, I wonder if like an A&R executive or some sort of executive like put these two together. Because I really don't know how they met. To be honest, I don't know. But their 12th house Lord, which would be their hidden feelings, how they truly feel about one another, is in the 11th house. Didn't she come out like years ago or something like that and said that these two would be friends? Okay, I can see that. Because their 11th house Lord is in the 11th house of friendship. Okay. So, I mean, it may seem crazy to us, but I can almost kind of see that with this here. Okay. Their Venus is in Taurus. So it's at home in Taurus at 3 degrees. But this is going to be more towards their hidden feelings for one another. Fortunate, critical, degree, authority, wrath. There's that anger. Okay. Wrath. And honestly, I don't know the backstory, but again, you see how it seems like he has a theme, Chris Brown. There's always a friend in the mix that possibly seems to be stirring up trouble. Okay. And I don't know if that was the same thing here when it pertains to the wrath that drove this down. I don't know if they were arguing over a friend. It may have been put out there as something else other than a friend, because this is Mr. Smash and Pass, friends with benefits. So I don't know if that was the case, but if the whoever it was that was accused, if they said they were just a friend, I'm kind of inclined to believe that they were being honest and saying we're just friends. I'm not saying that they probably didn't, maybe sleep together at one point, but I do. It's possible that they may have literally just been friends. Now, there may have been other instances where that wasn't necessarily the case, but that's what I assume. Okay. Moon in Aries looks like at 29 degrees. Oh yeah. So how they process their emotions with one another is the karma here, and even though it ended terribly, without a doubt, what if in a manner, because it's a karmic lesson, that could have been what set them up for future relationships, either to fix that, or unfortunately they end up going with that same dynamic of this moon and Aries type of energy. Okay. But there is a karmic completion that, some type of karma needed to be settled in this instance with the moon at 29 degrees Aries singing. Did they ever do the song together? I don't know. I can't think. Singing, isolation, independent, domineering, hurt by female, self-serving. Remember I said I'm curious if some sort of executive set these two up, but it was definitely to help out one party instead of like both parties. However, the end of the deal is both parties in a way gets the money. Okay. But it feels like, I don't know if it was a rumor or like I said, there was some sort of something about a friend that maybe was said, they ain't no damn friend. You doing X, Y, and Z, but it seems like they actually may have been a friend. And maybe the person who possibly set them up, maybe that was the one that possibly was the traitor in this situation. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Yes. Squares are issues, things that you have to work with. Okay. Squares and oppositions are more difficult aspects that you have to work with, but it's not impossible. Of course, the sextiles in this system, sextiles are purple, trines are green. So if you see green or purple, that's like, I guess, harmony in a manner, but doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be harmonious throughout. Okay. You just may not necessarily have to put in as much work for those particular aspects. Whereas oppositions, squares, you have to work through it. It can make or break you, but everybody has squares in their chart. Let's be honest. Okay. It's just things you have to work through. I don't really know how anybody lives with this guy. I don't. But that's just my opinion on that matter. Okay. Because like I said, when it comes to him, he's going to tell you from Jump Street what it is. I don't really see him as being like a liar. Now, he may bend the truth and not tell you what he did, especially if he did something bad. So I guess that's like a liar. But in terms of when it comes to where he places you at in a box, when it comes to you guys' situation, I don't see him lying about that. I feel like he's going to be honest about that. That's my opinion. Okay. I need to go back to my sheet. So how you are as a couple, of course, Gemini in the first house, Gemini ascendant, and we have Mercury in Aries. You know, this almost makes me feel like maybe the dynamic between these two, whenever they were together, maybe people saw them kind of like being kind of catty towards one another. Like if they're at a party together, you know, those little jabs, those little shots, you know, maybe people saw that type of energy, but maybe they kind of like cast it off or like, ah, ha, 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 you're so funny. You're so funny. But you got to pay attention. Because there's some, I don't know if there's some animosity, but remember I said in Chris Brown's chart, he wants to control, I feel, in my opinion. And I said it, if you're one of those where you got some back in your talk, that's how it starts, people. I feel like that's possibly how it started with these two, like the cattiness a little bit, the banter back and forth with one another, possibly in public, because it looks like it's in the 10th house. So possibly in public. I don't know if they got together after they did a song together. I don't know the history, but either way. Okay. Enemies. Are you intimate or are you enemies? And that is seen in the 7th house. They got a lot of stuff in their 7th house, to be honest. Let me move. They got Uranus in the 7th, Neptune in the 7th, Capricorn in the 7th, Saturn in the 7th, all in Capricorn. So I have my little cheat sheet. I was actually doing research on this last night, guys. Here we go. So I will have to post this person's website because it's great information. The 7th house. Hold on. Okay, so composite 7th house in Sagittarius. Okay, so with their composite 7th house in Sagittarius, so we're talking about here. Okay, it says you may be a pairing that interacts with others in a gregarious way, being very open-minded as a pair. You can enjoy being on the go together, and you can be surrounded by people who are well-read, travel, and can teach you something. However, it may be difficult for you to see together when you're stuck on certain beliefs or pushing for too much space, and you may see this in others around you. Remember, I called it that bantering back and forth. I said it before we even read the Sagittarius. I said it, okay? And that Mercury is hitting the Saturn. I wonder if he was talking to an older woman. But the accuser, the person that maybe he was accused of talking to, you were not it. You weren't even close. Maybe it was a much older woman that was the culprit, but somebody got pegged, I would say, as the culprit, and maybe they were just friends. My opinion. Okay, let's look at the planets in the 7th house. That's my opinion. I'm telling you, I really think he likes older women, like much older women. Okay, like maybe 8 years and above. But let's see. So, composite Neptune in the 7th house, you may not see this relationship as what it truly is. You can see it how you want to see it, and you have to work on being more realistic. It may be difficult for you to have balance together, but you can work hard to get along well and treat each other with respect. You may not be aware when the other person is having an issue, though, so you need to be more open. It was over before it started. Uranus in the 7th house. Okay. This can bring instability into the relationship itself, and you may view each other as erratic. Oh my God, this is what we've been talking about. You may need to have this relationship be unconventional in some way, like a long distance relationship or an open relationship. I'm not shocked. Remember I said, guys, I think it's possible that he was talking to an older woman, much older. What if my assumption, what if maybe Rihanna wanted to be more serious with Mr. Chris Brown before he was ready to. Maybe he wanted to be more serious with her after all this went down crazy. But maybe she wanted to be maybe more than just friends or whatever their dynamic was. And maybe he wasn't going, or maybe if he was talking to an older woman, maybe they weren't going. My opinion. Because their 7th house lord is in the 12th. So there was some sort of secret to this relationship that we probably don't know about. Okay. But yes. And Saturn, it can go either way. Like I said, good or bad. It can help to strengthen the relationship and help it to endure, but it also makes it more difficult for you to treat each other with respect, create disharmony, and make you feel unbalanced together if you're not focused on the same things. And that just goes back to my point I just made. Okay? I don't know if this is a situation where maybe somebody wanted to be more serious, unless it's backwards. It could be backwards. Maybe Chris Brown wanted to be more serious, and maybe Rihanna was talking to an older person, whoever. But one of them is the culprit here. Okay, and then we're not talking about what happened between them in terms of physically speaking. We're just talking about the relationship as a whole. Okay, there is something secretive about this that we don't know, something that was hidden in the shadows that we don't know. Okay, and then the Jupiter is opposite Pluto. We definitely don't know something here, people. But this relationship was bad for one's health either way. Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe. Like I said, I don't know what led to the fight. All I heard was fight. All I saw were the pictures plastered all over the place. I don't know the backstory. So somebody would have to tell me the backstory. But again, I feel the person that may have been accused of being the bad guy in this situation when it came to talking to him, I don't think that was the person. I think that person may have literally legitimately been a friend, and you completely missed the real enemy. Okay? Unless you knew who the real enemy was, and maybe you lied and said, I'm done. But I don't think so. I really think the real enemy was still in play, because she knew about them. I would say it wasn't a secret, whoever this person was, woman was, or man was. It wasn't a secret. Okay. But this was going down fast. It feels like to me, it seems like a connection where I wanted to be more. You didn't. Even though you may have kind of maybe told me about somebody that you were talking to. I really do feel like it was an older woman. I really do, guys. And she may have been an executive. She may have been somebody who had some type of power, may have been somebody that held some sort of prestigious position that was definitely probably over Rihanna, like had more than Rihanna, okay? Because that Saturn is at what? 7 degrees. Did his mom get involved in this little, issue? Because I said it before that possibly his mom becomes an issue, maybe in relationships for him. 7 degrees, Cancer, self-abandon, self-indulgence, destroy. Yeah, I told you. Oh, okay. The 7th degree of Capricorn. No, wait, is that? Oh, I looked at, Cancer 7 degrees is a degree where you will destroy domestic happiness. So like, maybe this older woman was married, but let's look down at Capricorn 7 degrees. Unusual abilities, loftiness, isolation, brief happiness. Short-lived relationship. Remember, Saturn, or what is it? Uranus or Neptune in the 7th house can be an indicator of kind of like open relationship. It's probably Uranus. Unconventional relationship. Okay. So maybe we got a triangle here, people. Third party situation, but maybe the person in question was married, or like I said, very prominent, prestigious position that maybe is an enemy to us. Maybe they were an enemy to us. Maybe we don't really like them. Okay, whatever. But yes. That was a lot. But it was bound to happen. It really was. I haven't looked at her chart. I'm pretty sure if I looked at her chart, I'm probably going to talk about some things that you guys probably aren't going to like. Okay, because if you guys were on Twitter pre-2010, Rihanna was a damn menace. If we're going to be honest, she didn't give a damn who she talked about. She's going to talk about you, not in a good way. Okay. She's definitely not doing that anymore. She probably wants to, but she was a menace before 2010. I remember that. Okay. Early Twitter days. If you were on Twitter in early stages, you already know what I'm talking about. She was a menace. A menace. Okay. Ridiculous. Some of the stuff that she said. If you don't believe me, Google it. Google it. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. She didn't give a damn. Okay. So if that is a peek into the way Rihanna's mouth can run, that's crazy. It doesn't give a pass for him to hit her. Absolutely not. But I also don't know what the hell happened in that car. Okay. I don't know what happened. Does anybody know what happened besides the two that were in the car? But it is kind of odd how she's like, we're our friends. I find that odd, to be honest. That's my opinion. I find that odd. That is odd to me, especially considering the fact how that ended. That is very odd. But okay. Did this fight? Well, because we have this Mars, Saturn. Mars likes to fight, is in the fourth house. Also, the fourth house can be, I think, a house of endings, but I think I'm applying horary principles to that. But the fourth house possibly can be a house of endings. I mean, that makes sense because it's a house of ancestors. So we have Mars in the fourth. Okay, were they at some type of industry party? Come on, help me remember the details if this is true. Because Libra could have been maybe supposed a model there, or maybe some sort of luxury event or something like that. And then it's sitting opposite the car, so the Mercury vehicles, Aries. So you're not shocked. I hope there wasn't a gun involved or a knife or threats of one. It got ugly. It got nasty. It looks like there's a Grand Cross. So this is like a tragic destiny. Feels like it. Not a Grand Cross yet. They just needed this last bit to connect, and it would have been like a Grand Cross. But T square, and their T square is the focal point. The main point is the Mars. So there's the turning point in their relationship right there. This was a turning point as well, but not as big as this right here with the Mars and the Uranus. I'm telling you, I feel like the fight has something to do with somebody possibly wanting to be more serious. This was an unconventional relationship. Possibly somebody may have been, I'm thinking Chris Brown was a culprit. That's my opinion. I think he may have been texting or dealing with a married woman who was older, who has some sort of business company, maybe in society, whoever the hell she is. That's way in the past. And Rihanna didn't like that. Okay. And I don't think that older woman is a part of the picture anymore, because 7 degrees Capricorn is brief. Okay. So brief intermission, a brief something. Okay. See, Lisa knows. You was there. I was there. I could not believe some of the stuff that she was saying, especially whenever it pertains to the skin color of other women or other men. I couldn't believe it. Like, Twitter is definitely watered. It's bad, but it's watered down than what it used to be, because some of the stuff that she was saying, there's no way on God's green earth she would be able to get away with that today. There's just no way. No way. And she has completely came up. She has rebranded, and good for her to rebrand. She has a baby now. Okay. She's dealing with ASAP-Rocky, who honestly, okay. Remember I said in their composite chart that the moon, let me move this. Remember I said the moon is going to possibly set up how their possible future relationships are going to be, because it's karmic. So it may set up their future relationships to be kind of volatile with this Aries energy, impulsive, hot and cold maybe, or it can completely change it to where you learn from your mistakes. You realize that, what, certain things that I did there, I can't do there. Okay. I would hope that would be the case, but I don't know about this ASAP-Rocky character, to be honest. Okay. Seems like trouble. But anyway, guys, I said this was supposed to be short. It was 1 hour and 34 minutes. Ew. Okay, so we're done. I didn't get a chance to look at the other girl's chart. I don't know if I'm going to say that for another day, to be honest, because oddly enough, whenever I was uh, reading through his chart, and remember I talked about that walking zombie type of energy and the ghost, blah, 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 I got so tired. He's like an energy vampire. Like, seriously, I think he's an energy vampire. My opinion. My opinion. Okay. Oh, boy. I'm actually shocked he actually rehab wherever he went. I'm actually shocked about that because I don't really see that. I mean, we have the 12th house is in Cancer, but his moon is exalted in Taurus. So, 7th house, well, that's enemies. I mean, he looks fine in terms of staying out of trouble, but I'm telling you, he is so undercover. Not in that way. He's so undercover in terms of the shit that he does, in my opinion. Okay. Let's see what we got. Will ASAP and Riri last? I don't know. Like I said, I haven't looked at their charts. Okay. Well, here's Rihanna's chart if you're curious. There's her chart. She has Moon in Aries, doesn't she? Okay. That makes sense. Neptune and Capricorn. Oh, yeah, she's a millennial. So Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn, Saturn in Sagittarius, Mars in Sagittarius looks like, Pluto in the 7th, Rahu in the 12th, North Node in the 12th. Okay, let's look. Rahu in the 12th, right? So that would make her, I don't know. Hold on. I don't know how good 12th house for North Node is. Yeah, I didn't think so. The placement of Rahu or North Node in this house, the 12th house, is not a very good sign for expenses and finance related stuff because you overspend. Okay. These expenses will all be unseen, unaccounted for, and you will face a lot of trouble due to expenses. We'll have to see. Okay. But one will have a love for donating to charity. I don't know if she does. She got a lot of squares. She has a lot of squares in her chart. Oh, yeah. She has Mercury in Aquarius, squaring Scorpio in the 7th house, the house of enemies. That goes to what I was just talking about her on Twitter being that menace. But guess what? Aquarius is like very future type of vibes to me. Like people with a heavy Aquarius placement or heavy 11th house placements, they can kind of like see the future in a manner, or you kind of like know what's coming. So I hate to say it, it couldn't have been a more perfect time for her to be a damn menace on Twitter when it hit early on. She got ahead of the curve, and that's normally what happens with Aquarius placements. They're ahead of the curve. So even if they do something rather shitty, we probably won't even really remember it because it was way, 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 way before everybody else got busted for doing it. Okay? My opinion. But she also has Chiron in Gemini. So that would also make sense why she has rebranded, because Gemini, communication, your mouth, your words, community. Okay. So oh, by the way, another thing as well, wherever Aries sits at in your chart can be where you may be the first to do something, like in your family, in your something. And she has Aries on the 1st house. So that makes sense. The first to probably, be famous, put yourself out there. The first, probably in her family to use her face, I guess, to, make all this money, stuff like that. I'm not going to go too deep into her chart because I already could tell my energy is going to be shot doing that. So we're going to stop here. Okay. Who are we talking about? I don't know who you're talking about, Lisa. Who's dealing with some kind of learning disabilities? I'm not sure who you mean. I've did tarot readings and past life readings on the baby. Honestly, is there anything else for us to really talk about with this individual? He's another Jonathan, like Blueface. What is with the Jonathan? I don't know. He's another Jonathan, like Blueface, Capricorn, Saturnian type of energy. I don't really know if there's anything else for us to look for. Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I did not look and see if he deals with some sort of learning disability. Third house and ninth house is education, because this is lower level, or like, elementary, primary, and this is like what, secondary. Okay. Well, he probably wasn't going to go to college. Aries, ninth house. Okay. In ninth house in Mars. Maybe what if he did want to go to college and his mom didn't want him to go? Remember I called it before where I said there's some sort of blockage, feels like, on his chart. Hopefully it's not his mother. Could be. Okay. But maybe he was homeschooled. He could have been homeschooled. I don't know if he was or was not, but he could have been homeschooled. Okay. And if he was, I don't think that was good for him. He need to be with people. Okay. And maybe he had to be homeschooled if he was like, in the game early, but I don't necessarily think that would have been good for him. He should have been in some sort of institution, because I don't think it would have been good for him in long term in terms of his education. Okay. Does he play video games, or, he probably gets easily distracted by like video games, or I don't know if he's heavily into anime. He may be, I'm not sure. He could be, but maybe that's something that is hidden from the world. I don't know if maybe he feels like he'll be like, I don't think he'll be weird if you're like, hey, I'm like ridiculously into anime. Or maybe that's his, maybe he's so deep into anime, he wants to have an anime character as a partner. I don't know. But again, it's just a guess. I don't think if he was homeschooled, I don't think he should have been homeschooled. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he should have been homeschooled. I don't think that would have done well for him, because think about how it kind of like, in a manner, it doesn't really help you in terms of a reality standpoint. You need to be involved with groups of people so that you can see the world through different types of eyes, through different lenses. So for him, I'm not saying other people it won't work, but for him, I don't think so. I don't think he should have been homeschooled. I think private school, how some of these rich kids go to, I think he could have done with that, maybe, but I guess I understand why he had to. But yeah, because if he was homeschooled, I could see this in the energy with him not being involved with groups of people. He may try to fit in to groups of people, Mars rule types, groups of people. I don't think that would do well for him in a long run, because then it just comes across like you're being a poser, like you're being fake. Because again, like I said, the groups he would probably try to fit in with are very Mars ruled, but he sees that as like home. So if he possibly got involved with Mars ruled people and he wasn't in an actual school institution, maybe those Mars ruled groups were just a reflection of maybe how he felt with his home life. Okay. But my opinion. Okay. So guys, we're done. Okay. Since there's no other questions, thank you everybody for sticking around. Of course, these will always be available. I know YouTube changed the format on like your page. So if you go to my home page on my my YouTube, just click live and it will pull up all the videos I've done. Okay. They're changing things around, so you got to search for it. But I appreciate all of you guys who stuck around to listen to my chart analysis on this one. And I will see you for, another one, whenever that is. Okay. Bye.